Yeah, welcome everybody. I made a mistake on scheduling this. I think I thought that at 8 a.m. in Colorado it would be fine and it wouldn't conflict with DrupalCon. I'm in Chicago. I'm an hour later, and we've just started the mentored contribution. So uh, push us on along a little faster than I normally would because people will gradually be showing up. Although they were supposed to show up an hour ago, and there hasn't been anybody in there ready to be mentored yet. So that's all good. So great to see you today. And I didn't think anybody would show up since I didn't publicize it at all, but I'm very happy to have you. And we'll just take a look. This is a really, really easy topic. And uh, so what we're gonna look at today is new ways to use Git Worktree. And Git Worktree is super, super easy to use. And DDEV is super, super easy to use in different directories. So you can have different projects running with the same code or different code without any conflicts between them. So it's loads of fun. And feel free to speak up anytime. I'm just going to go through the basics because the basics are really, really easy. So let me share my screen here in a second. And see if I can get in the right directory. Share my screen. Share the whole screen. All right. Can you see my screen okay?
Yeah, sound good.
All right. Very good. So, um, like I say, this is just really, really straightforward thing. So the first thing, and you don't have to do this, but we will be working. You're welcome to do this. You probably don't want to do this one first, but um, when you check out, you can easily check out two projects just like this and have them in two directories. This is a classic thing. You could have done this anytime, whether you ever knew about Git Worktree or not. This has nothing to do with Git Worktree. This is just checking out the same code into two different directories. And Git Worktree is only just a little bit different from this approach. So you could always do this. You could always do this with any Git repository. And uh, with DDEV, there was one little problem with that, and I'll show you what the problem was. So in DDEV, by default, let me see here. Here's an example. Uh, Let me make this bigger. Can you see that okay?
Yeah.
In DDEV, by default, if you do a DDEV config, it creates a name element. And that means that if your team is using that, they'll always have the same name, even if it's in another directory. But the little secret about DDEV that has always been there, this has not changed in years, is that you can kill that name, and then the DDEV project will take the name of the directory that it's in. So you don't have to have that name forced on your project. And so I've kind of gotten in the habit now, for example, on my D11 project, um, and on the D11 simple that we'll use here. Well, I lied. I thought I had deleted that out of there, but on the D11 simple that I'll use in the demo today, I've just removed that so that it will take the name of the directory. So here, um, so without that name, every DDEV project will take the name of the directory it's in. So we'll demonstrate that in a moment. Feel free to speak up, say anything you want. I am on a small screen, so I don't see everybody's face or even who's here. So feel free to speak up at any time. Does that make sense so far?
Yeah, yeah. So far, yes.
Okay. So now in recent versions of DDEV from sometime last fall, you can actually make all your projects behave that way so that if you omit project name by default, then DDEV config won't write the name element in the config.yaml to begin with. So that was something that Tyler 36 was using Worktrees, and he found that it was annoying to accidentally get that added in, and so he requested that feature, and it's pretty nice. And in general, um, I don't have this turned on, and it's a fairly for some tests the DDEV tests can be broken by me turning this on. So I've done that because they have an expectation of the name being a particular name. But other than automated tests, I haven't had any trouble with setting this config. But if you set this global config, then DDEV won't create that name element in the config.yaml. So um, I have, let me show you what I have here to demo. I am going to close up a few windows and you can do this more than one way. But here's what I have. I have a directory called D11 simple in and I put it in uppercase. Somebody suggested doing that to kind of differentiate it from the real checkout. So I have a D11 simple main directory, and then I have three checkouts in it. One is the normal Git checkout, and then the other two are features that I might want to work on. So we'll take a look at that. But that's the structure of what I'm doing. There's more than one way to do this, and what we're going to do is super easy. But I do in this in the main directory here. I always put my database and files in a .tarballs directory, and we'll be able to use those as we go through here. So we will uh, do that now. So the first thing that I did here, and I'll just delete all of these directories so that we have a starting place that is simpler. And you can do this too if you want to. If you want to organize this the same way as we're doing it, um, and of course you're welcome to speak up anytime. The first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to check out the D11 simple directory. Now we've got nothing in here but the tarballs directory that has our stuff that we want to use to import when we need it. So I'm going to git clone. Uh, you can I'll do this with a URL that you can use. So this is just a plain vanilla Drupal 11 checkout, and so it's just going to check that out. There's nothing to it. It already has the config.yaml removed, uh, the name removed from the config.yaml. This example is actually using Drupal, which is pretty friendly to using different URLs. Some other CMS projects like WordPress or Magento 2 or Typo 3 need a little bit more encouragement when you change the name of the folder. Are what CMSs are people using here? I know that some of you are using Drupal.
I use also Shopware.
Shopware, and I
And
don't know about Shopware, but I'll be interested in your experience. Um,
well, it's based on Composer. It's okay, I would say.
yeah,
It doesn't
yeah,
give so many problems.
yeah. Typo 3 has it embedded in the config, has the domain name embedded in the config. WordPress has the domain name embedded in the database. Magento has it embedded in a thing that you can just change with a simple command. But anyway, these are the kind of common problems, but Drupal is generally very, very friendly about this class of changing the name of the project. I can now, here I am in the D11 simple. I can do a DDEV start here, and I will have a setup Drupal 11 site ready to go. Well, theoretically, I deleted my files and everything without doing what I wanted to do here. So I'll just do a DDEV delete and start over again. So I do a DDEV start here. And so this is the first thing I'm going to do is get my base project going with a basic URL. And this one will come out in d11 simple.ddev.site. And I'll just import the database and files after this comes up, and we'll have a working site of this type. And what we're doing so far has nothing to do with what we're exploring today. We're just starting a basic site that we checked out from GitHub. Nothing to it. And you can do this along the way if you want to. It's the same thing. As you saw, we just did a git clone on DDEV D11 simple. So I'm going to do a DDEV launch after I get this going, and we'll see that it wants to do the. Actually, I'm going to, rather than doing the DDEV launch right now, I'm going to import the Debian files, which is what you'd normally do on a project that you were checking out. So we'll just import that, and we will be set. And here we go. So we'll import a canned database. You could also use DDEV poll if you had it on a host, or you can populate these any way that you see fit. And now I'll do an uh, import files. And this site should now be ready to go. So we have our base set up already. And if I do a DDEV launch, we should see theoretically a working project. Don't know what it's doing right now. There we go. So we have a working project that does the things that we need it to do. So what we've done here so far is just what we would do to prepare a client project or a web project that we were working on. And it happens to be organized in a way that we're going to be able to have different feature branches easy to work with now. So tell me, does that make sense so far, what we just did?
Yep.
Thanks. Yeah.
Also good.
Yeah. Feel free to speak up if I get going too fast or what I do doesn't make any sense. So now we're ready to work on a feature branch. And my normal habit is to do a git checkout dash B 2026 03 26 RFA fancy feature upstream main or something like that. And I have a tendency to get a whole bunch of branches going, and it's not a bad workflow. I can change branches, I can push them, and that kind of thing. But a lot of times, I actually want to work on more than one at a time, or maybe I have, so maybe I want to have a DDEV share going in one so somebody can look at it, or maybe I want Claude to be working on three different features at the same time in different directories. And it's been probably the use of AI that is pushing people toward work to get work trees, because get work trees make it really, really easy to have everything that we need to have a completely separate checkout so that different work can be going on in different places, and yet we can keep track of what's going on there. So now, if I go, I may not be able to figure out how to put my Zoom windows in the right place. I always have this problem. The Zoom windows get in the way, and then I can't find my way back when I'm on a regular screen. And now I have lost track of everything. So now, what we're going to do now is use Git Worktree to. So we've done this part right here. Now we're going to use Git Worktree to add different checkouts with different branches with the right thing. So that's our next step. So I am going to just do a git. Here I am in the main directory that I checked out that has a real .git directory. So this one is running everything for us. It has a real .git directory, and we do not have the name element in our config.yaml. So it's being driven. The project name is being driven by the directory it's in. So I'm going to do a git Worktree add, and I'm going to put it in the same root directory. So in the D11 simple caps directory, uh, fancy feature one. Um, and so when I do that, it actually is preparing a new checkout in a parallel directory, and it's already given it the branch name that happens to be the same as the directory name. So we can keep track of these and not get confused about which branch we're on or which branch Claude's working on or whatever. So now here we have fancy feature one, and I can check out fancy feature two as well. And it is using the Git information from our original checkout, the D11 checkout. So it's using the original information from that. It doesn't create an actual .git in each of these, and the work trees are somewhat managed. I'll show you that in a minute. So here we are in fancy feature one, and here the .git is not a directory. It's a pointer to the real to the manage.git in the main one, which is called lowercase d11 simple. So now we have three checkouts that can diverge, and they're on different branches, but they're using the same Git repository. If in fact, if I go right here and say git remote add rfa git at github.com rfa d11 simple. I'm not sure that I have that, but I say git remote -v. It shows that. If I go back to the D11 simple, git remote -v, it shows both of the remotes. So anything that you do to the repository, configuring the repository, is mirrored in all of the work trees. So it's a very nice situation there. So now I can do a DDEV start here, and now I'll have fancy feature one uh, .ddev.site where I can work or have Claude work and do all the things. By the way, look at this progress on this sponsorship. Hit 76% today of our goal for the project. Very exciting. It's nice to see that go up. It went up four four percentage points since yesterday because of a new sponsorship from the Institute for Advanced Studies. If your organization isn't already sponsoring DDEV, um, give them a little kick so that they can so that your team will have DDEV for the future. Um, and so when this is up, we'll import the DB and import the files on this one, and it will be fully functional where you can work on a feature. You have a branch already going. I recommend that you do use the technique that we're using for creating the work tree, where the name of the directory is the same as the name of the branch. So it makes it really easy to keep track of what's there. So I'm going to do the same thing here. Come on. And now this one will work fine as well. So we'll have this one all set up, and it's completely independent, and it's on a different branch, but the work trees know about each other. So I'll show you a nice feature about that in a second. Um, this one should work fine now with the files in here. We'll do a DDEV launch with it, and then I'll lose my place again. It's amazing how a screen share like we're doing slows down the whole computer. It's uh, it's really surprising. So here's the new one at fancyfeature1.ddev.site. So it's uh, it's great. It's ready to go. Now, if I go back, see if I can find my way back to the presentation, see if I've lost my way. Here we've already looked at the layout here that we're doing. We're importing the files. Um, and let me show you some of the great features of this. If I do a Git work tree list, it shows the 3 work trees. And you see I can do that in any of the work trees. Now, if I do let's go to Fancy Feature 2. Well, that didn't work. And if I do a change to the composer.json, let's say that we removed Rush from it. Okay, now I have a change here. And if I go over to D11 Simple, for example, um, well, that's not working. If I go to D11 Simple and I do Git work tree list, and I do a Git work tree delete fancy feature 2, um, remove, sorry. It says, no, you can't do that right now because you got stuff going on over there. And if I go back over there and commit that, I'm not sure what happens in this case. Committed but not pushed. So now let's see what happens if we try to delete it. We try to get Worktree remove this thing. It's committed, but will it let us delete the Worktree even though the commit is gone? Yes, it will let us commit it. But it's still there on the branch, I think. Yeah, so it's still there in the branch, so I didn't lose anything. So that's why Worktree would let me do it. Hey, Kevin, go ahead.
Yeah, I don't know if you would be familiar enough with running lots of sites off of Pantheon upstream, but would this work if you have lots of sites running off of that with the DDEV projects pointed at a different config pull so that you could have lots of variations of work on the same upstream that is actually being populated from different databases and files, essentially same app, different sites?
Yeah, same app, different environments on
Well,
Pantheon,
the
or
the the way we typically configure this is we have one upstream project that's where we're not checking the lock file in, and
okay.
then Pantheon's automation composer manage magic is handling deploying those changes to the individual sites. But then each individual site we check out as a separate project. So we end up with dozens of projects that 90% of the code is coming from the upstream with the merge happening at the Pantheon layer. But this, if you could configure each of these feature workspaces to pull from a different Pantheon environment, you would be able to separate it out this way, having a single repo
So
instead
what I
of.
would do for that, do you use DDEV pull Pantheon?
We do.
Yeah. So what I would do for that is I would create a config.local.yaml, and in there you would have let's see if I can remember the right stuff here. Um, you would have a web environment and DDEV, DDEV Pantheon site equals XXX and DDEV Pantheon environment equals YYY, and config.local.yaml is excluded. Well, it depends on what your strategy is, if it's different things or whatever. But a config.local.yaml is get ignored by default, but that would change the Pantheon site and environment for each of these if in fact you were using work trees. But it sounds like you have separate I don't know. I don't know exactly what, but
We
that
do, but
strategy
that's a lot
works.
of overhead for something that, like, you're creating separate DDEV instances for sites that you may look at once a year.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, yeah,
and
yeah.
so by using this approach, you don't have to go through all of the steps of spinning up a completely separate environment. You're doing it within the context of the upstream, which is where 90% of the functionality you would be working on exists.
Yeah,
And
with Pantheon, you can also do a DDEV pull Pantheon dash dash environment equals DDEV Pantheon site equals XXX. I think it works like this: Pantheon environment equals YYY, and do it on the fly. So that it's kind of a separate topic, but I
yeah.
can see that your brain is moving on ways to solve the problem that you're chasing. So that's great.
I'm always looking for ways to do less work. So this seems like it may be a tool we could leverage that way.
Yeah, yeah. I think you might find a path. I don't really know all the complexities of how Pantheon should be done. So
Sure.
I use it in a very we use it only for testing, and I've never used it for anything real. We have automated tests, but my learning about it has been pretty limited.
Yep, that's fine. Fair enough.
So
Thanks.
um, so basically, Git Worktree, if you're not familiar with it, sounds like it's like this fancy new thing, but it's not. It's just like, yeah, here's these things, and keep the path and the directory name the same, and organize your directories in a way that works for you. And you know, basically remove name from your project's config.yaml so that you use the directory name instead of using the wired in name. And figure out a way to load database and files, which you could do with the DDEV pull Pantheon or DDEV pull Acquia or Upsun or whatever, and those will all work. And the so it's just lovely how simple this is, how simple both of the concepts are, both the DDEV concept of not using the name element and the work tree element of sharing, sharing. Basically, you're sharing directories. Directories are sharing information about how their configuration works, and they know about each other in a reasonable way. So that's the whole thing right there. So speak up, say whatever you might be interested in saying. It's that easy. It's just really nothing to it. And what you might be doing is you might be running Claude in Fancy Feature 1, and you might tell Claude, um, figure out what's wrong with this project. And then you might run Claude in Fancy Feature 2, and oh, we deleted Fancy Feature 2, so we'll just create a new one. Um, and I think we can just do uh, the same thing, and it will get the right branch. No, not, or something. We'll use 3 here. Oh, did I do the wrong thing? Oh, I just did the wrong thing. I didn't say add. And so it is actually using the right branch to begin with here. So that's good. Um, and we can in our fancy feature 2, um, we can tell Claude to do something else, and it can be working independently there. And of course, we could use the new auto mode so that it didn't ask us all the questions like, I don't want you to ask me about grep, that kind of thing. So I could use Fancy Feature 2 here and run Claude, and I could ask it to um remove Drush from the composer.json and do a composer install or something. So it you can it you can also use it for a long running, like if you have a long running thing that needs to be worked on, you can do the thing that you need to do. So if you have in this one, for example, if you have in Fancy Feature 2, let's go to Fancy Feature 1, which has got the proper stuff in it, and you have a collaborator that needs to work on Fancy Feature 1, you can do a DDEV share here, and the it will be sitting there while your collaborator is using it. So this is using DDEV share with the new Cloudflare D option. But here's the URL, and um, if you can all access that. Um, there it is in the chat. You can all access that while I go work on something else. So I don't have to stop working because I'm sharing the project with you for you to evaluate it. Any questions, comments, or ideas coming out? I'm going to stop the share here, um, so you can turn on your video or speak up if you have any comments. That's about it. That Get Worktree is easy to use. There's lots of possible uses for this kind of behavior, and um, DDEV, you can turn off the name, and it will do fine. So, comments,
Yeah.
thoughts, ideas, things that are percolating in your
Um,
brain.
just want to say thank you. I knew about Worktree, but never used it actually, and I didn't expect it was that easy to use. So good to
Yeah,
know for
yeah.
me.
But I didn't, and it's got a few other commands, but it really is that easy to use. And it's that easy to understand too. And it's not a lot different from just checking out things into different directories, but it does have it's a little more sophisticated. And with a good strategy, you can do a bunch of things. So
I'm currently thinking, most of the time I'm working on multiple branches in Git and maybe want to test stuff next to each other. It's usually simply some simple changes in PHP or sometimes even in the front end, where I'm currently thinking if it might be an overkill to have a separate files directory or separate database for each of those branches. And I'm currently thinking of ways I could maybe link them together for the specific circumstances. So I only have one database running in the background, maybe, because
you
they
can you can
basically have all the
absolutely do
data.
that. What CMS do you usually work with, Robin?
Drupal,
You work with Drupal. So
Drupal or plain PHP.
so if you look in the FAQ in docs.ddev.com,
Hmm.
you'll see how two different projects can communicate with each other. So in your you would not use your settings.ddev.php in that situation. You would do like a settings.local.php
Hmm.
that pointed to the database of the other project, basically. And
Yeah.
the FAQ explains how to do that. But that would be a perfectly reasonable thing. Of course, the prerequisite is you have to have the other database running. You have to have the other project running. But yeah, you can do that. You might, just like if you had two real sites uh, sharing the same database, you might have some interesting behaviors. But for the
Yeah.
simple situation you're talking about, it's going to be fine.
All right. Thank you.
You bet. Okay. Any other comments or thoughts that are coming to mind? If not, we'll let you get on with your day. Sure appreciate you coming, and it's always great to collaborate with you. And thanks for keeping things going with DDEV and for all your thinking and your contributions. Really appreciate it.
Thanks, Randy.
All righty. Have a great one. Thanks a
Thank you.
bunch.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.